everyone, Corey Swiergosz here, the co-promoter for the Vancouver Island Showdown. And today I have a very special guest, Jessica Belt, IFBB Pro Women's Physique competitor, joining us with her trainer, Bryan, from the Standard Training Systems. How are you guys doing?
Good.
Good. How are you?
Good.
Really, really good. Jessica, thank you very much for joining me here today and committing to doing the Vancouver Island Showdown on April 23rd. I want to know a little bit about you, kind of the backstory, kind of give me the 60, 90 second backstory of who you are and where you came from.
So I've been an athlete probably since I was little, starting in sports. I was a busy kid. So my mom was like, what can we put her in so that she doesn't drive us insane? So I think athletic ability has kind of always been something that is there for me. As I grew into an adult, I was a competitive dancer, so that performance aspect has always been within my heart. I got into, I hate to say it, but CrossFit right after my daughter was born because I wanted to get back in shape. From there, it transitioned into powerlifting, where, at one point I was ranked, 2 in the world across all feds. I've held state, national, and world records in USPA and IPL. And from there, I went into bodybuilding, which happened to be on a whim as I had gotten injured at a meet. And I had friends of mine that owned a gym in Austin called Big Tex. And they said, you should really do a show. And I was like, well, I have to have that competitive nature. So I did, dieting down and coming from a powerlifter build. I think I dropped 30 pounds that first show. And it was crazy to see kind of what was underneath. Obviously, there was a lot of holes in my build, being that I came from a background where I was so set in certain, movements. But I took first in novice, first in open, and then the overall, my very first show. So from there, I was told I wasn't allowed to do regional shows anymore. Did nationals, came in 4th, and then did North Americans in 2019, and I turned pro. Shortly after COVID hit, so my pro debut was delayed until late 2020. And I actually went on stage in stitches. I had gotten bitten by a dog, and you'll actually still see, you can see in a lot of my videos, there's a giant scar and a chunk out of my leg. And it was along the lines when, bodybuilding and women's physique was really blurred. And so I was, add a lot more mass that I wasn't really prepared to do, or, diet down to figure. So my next show, I did a figure show. And when I sat into my legs, I sat in a physique front relaxed in figure in heels. When my legs opened up and it looked like I ate first call outs, I was told distinctly to go back to physique. And that is where I went. And so I hit Texas Pro, and I took top 10 there for my first, I call that my true physique debut. There was no injuries or giant stitches on stage, and I took top 10 there. It was a huge show. There was 30 athletes from my off season, and then transitioned to my second show, which was Pittsburgh. And I had made a lot of improvements, but I was still lagging in a lot of areas, and I took 5th. And then we went into Louisiana a few weeks later when I realized I had COVID, because we couldn't understand why I wasn't filling out, why I was flat, why I was really tired. And it turned out that's what it was. My stage weight was 149 pounds, and I got down to 139 pounds with COVID. So you can just think of the muscle loss.
And she weighs over 170 right now.
Crazy. So can COVID be used as can COVID be used as a conditioning tool?
10 out of 10 would not recommend.
The timing is really hard.
Yeah, this one, and what's great, it's made us kind of kindred spirits, is after his last competition, the same thing happened to him. And he was actually a really good support system for me. I don't think he realizes that or not, because he kept telling me it's gonna be okay and it'll come back. And even my brain was like looking at my legs. I couldn't even like flex my quad without shaking like, a chihuahua. And it was devastating to see so much work just blast away. So he was actually you kind of were like, you going with the you went through. Yeah, I tend to keep things to myself a lot.
Awesome.
So then we transitioned to off season. I can get into what happened in my personal life in another note, as far as, the trials and tribulations that have happened of 2022. But now, I've recovered from COVID, and what was that top out? 182, I think.
had a really good off season.
Yeah,
You
he restructured a lot of my training on things that,
Mhm.
looking at things and what would you say? Like I was doing too much.
I just think like maybe picking a little bit different exercises to, bring out what we wanted to, right? And so always like looking for maybe doing the harder stuff to really drive a physique. So that's really like where my training goes.
Awesome.
5-second eccentric RDLs are horrible, but I look at my structure and I think the realization came of how much change has happened going into the Vancouver show. And, when you guys posted about it, and actually somebody else had reached out to me at the show, they're like, you should really come to this show. And I started looking and I was like, the only pro divisions are women's division. I was like, yeah, I'm going. I was like, that's awesome, because I feel like our physique division, especially because things were so blurred for so long, has really taken a hit. And so to see more shows bringing women's physique back into it makes, like, I couldn't have not done the show. Like, it was like, this one was the one that was made for me. But he had sent a picture of kind of where my physique was versus was it 14 weeks out from Pittsburgh versus 15 weeks out of Vancouver. And it's crazy the amount of progress. And it is, it's him, it's coming back up, it's coming up here, and, being able to train with him and, Tyler, kind of our training group when I can. And them pushing me to a point of, doing stuff that makes me uncomfortable. And, utilizing recovery more, which I'm bad. Like I'll train 7 days a week and burn myself out and then wonder why I'm not building. So, that's kind of my background and kind of where we are leading into Vancouver is, I feel like for this show, I really have the best team I could ask for. I have him that his knowledge base is insane and he stays calm with me, which is good, but he also doesn't let me slack on things. And I think that's the biggest thing, is being able to have somebody that you trust in your corner that sees the things that you don't see, believes in you sometimes when you don't believe in yourself, but then is not going to let you bullshit and take the easy route. And some of us, we can get by on it.
Absolutely. I mean, you've said so much there. I think it's incredible. Obviously, you are, a high level athlete across the board. I mean, you've competed competitively, CrossFit, powerlifting at, a worldwide level. Now getting into bodybuilding, obtaining your IFBB Pro card. I think obviously, really great to see. But what's really your purpose and your motivation and your love for bodybuilding? Like, where's that come from, and what keeps you, driven every single day to get in the gym and continue to improve?
Yeah, that's like, there's so many things that comes with it. And I honestly, one of the biggest things is I love the performance aspect. I love the mental discipline that comes from it. Being somebody that, coming from a background of recovery, and personally, I was a recovering alcoholic for many years. And understanding the discipline that comes with it and having that mental, I'm trying to think of the right words to say it, but it's like almost that mental struggle that you have to have. And it's finding this person deep inside of you that you have to pull out in order to get through this. Because when it comes to the struggling, when you're tired, when you're hungry, when you're craving everything under the sun, and that's where a lot of people will break. And being able to say, like, I didn't, and I stayed with it. And then you get to see all of that work pay off. And then to get to be, somebody that's different, to show women that it's okay to be muscular and it's okay to look strong and be strong. And we don't have to fit in, what society says we're supposed to look like. And still be able to be feminine and be pretty. And I think that's one of the biggest passions, is being able to do that, being able to have the mental discipline to be, and the capability of saying I can, and then also being an inspiration for other women to say, it's okay if you have bigger biceps and shoulders. And if somebody doesn't like it, then that's their problem, not yours. So kind of both things.
Absolutely. Let's bring it back to when you turned pro at the North Americans. I mean, obviously, let's get Bryan in here as well. I think the physique development that you had, you look at those pictures on stage, obviously you can see the, the structure. First and foremost, the conditioning is night and day different. But what do you attribute, the overall development in your shoulders, in your lats? I mean, the amount of width you put on in your back is night and day difference from then until now. Let's talk a little bit about kind of, the training styles that you're implementing, and really what's attributing to that. I mean, if you're talking, if you can give any tips to some of the amateur athletes in the show, specifically women, that want to add, in the same areas that you've developed, do you have any tips, tricks, any things that you think would help those, new to the sport as well?
Well, when it comes to back training, I think a lot of people, they do things where they're too fixed and they don't let their body actually move the way it needs to move and the way it does move when they pull. They might be pulling with the wrong way too, right? Not having your elbows in front of you and not driving your elbow down and stuff like that. So it was really just, we trained together a couple times, figured out what she was doing wrong and fixed those things. And, that's what I love doing is training. I like training hard. So, that's it's a hard question. To be honest with you. There's a lot going on there, but really what we did was we just trained together a bunch of times, and I figured out what was wrong just by training together and fixed those little things. Showed her like some tricks that I do that I've learned from myself or training other people, and she responded super well, and she listens really well and works hard, and that's all important, really.
So oh, sorry, go ahead, Jessica.
I think the biggest thing too that he had me start doing again that I realized I'd shied away from, and that I think is the biggest advice that I can give any amateur athlete is freaking deadlift. He loves deadlifting. I deadlift every week, and I realized so many people get scared of that movement because they think their core is going to get thick or this or that or the other, but it's one of the best compound movements on the planet. It's the most compound movement. And I think building up back, building up hamstrings and posterior chain, deadlifts are extremely important, and so many people shy away from them in the bodybuilding world. And if they didn't, they probably have better backs, better symmetry, and stronger hamstrings. So the first thing he did was put them back in. And I had not been pulling, and that was the first change he made. And within a couple of weeks, you could literally see where things started pulling through again. Muscle memory came back, and development that I had lost from not pulling was coming back through. So that would be my biggest advice: is don't be afraid to deadlift.
Awesome. I mean, obviously there's kind of that, the aura of, Texas Muscle, Branch Warren, Johnny Jackson. How much of that powerlifting do you implement into your training as a women's bodybuilder?
Well, I think that strength drives hypertrophy, right? So you need to build your strength, and then that in return builds your accessories, the weight on your accessories, and you can progress on those. So a lot of what I do and what we're doing today, right after we get off with you, is do some exercise that really build your strength, and then all the volume is with the accessories that we're driving the weight up with, because we're just building our strength in general. So I think it's, look at it doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman at all. If you're trying to build muscle, right? If you look at the largest humans, they're also all very, very strong. Yeah. So it's important to build your strength.
Yeah, for sure. I think Johnny Jackson, the prime example, had probably the best back in the IFBB for a decade. Definitely that powerlifting background. Even look like Brian Shaw. I mean, the strong man, like the physique that he's been able to build. And so I think there's a lot to be said there with a stronger muscle is a bigger muscle, without getting too complicated into it. And so I think there's definitely
you don't have to pick exercises that build your strength, like I said, and then the actual weight on the accessories go up, right? So you're doing all the same stuff. It's just that if you're building your strength and your accessories go up, you're using more load on those exercises, still in the rep ranges that you want to build muscle for volume, for size, right? But you're driving those numbers up.
Gotcha.
It's been good going back into having more of this power movements and strength movements that I kind of shied away from, because even though my first show I was small, when you turn around, my back was undeniable. And I think because I got away from a lot of it for so long, that, yes, I gained in certain areas, but I lost in others that were bigger things for me. And so him bringing those movements back in, when most of the time when we start depleting, right, our numbers start going down, we're not able to push as much. And what's funny is I've lost, I'm losing, I'm leaning out, and I've actually been getting stronger. I'm still PRing on things, weights that were a struggle for me 6 months ago are like a warm up for me now. And it's the muscle development that has come through it and the density of muscle. That's, I think, the biggest thing is people don't realize the density that strength training brings in.
Yeah. Very, very, very cool. Jessica, honestly, I want to talk a little bit about the mentality, but you seem to have the mindset and the heart set for this prep like no other. Pardon?
His pre-workout kicked in.
Okay. No, I was just trying to give you a compliment, Jessica, and saying that. I mean, I've done a number of these now, and honestly, you seem just visually to be in a very great place. I mean, both like physically, mentally, to me, it looks like you're in a phenomenal place to get ready for this prep. Is that where you're at right now? Like, do you foresee this being one of the best preps that you've had to date?
This is the best prep to date. And that's not, I went through so much, the last few months, I lost my father, my grandmother, moving from, I lost my husband and I, divorced, and I moved from Vermont back to Texas. And it's like, I had to start all over. And I look at that and knowing that I went through all of those things and was still able to stay in an off season and continue to progress helped me. And then I got around my people and my friends and my family, and I got the right people in my corner that give me I feel so secure going into this prep, and I feel so confident, and it's the embracing of it and learning that you love bodybuilding and how much I love it and how passionate I am about this sport, but knowing that I'm also not doing it alone and that I have an amazing team. This is by far going to be the best prep of my career, and I'm excited. Every day I wake up I'm excited, I'm ready to go, I'm ready to train, and it's in my personality too, just to be a genuinely happy person. And so it's like, you add this into it, I'm just like, every day I wake up excited because I see new things. I'm like, I feel like I'm a new athlete all over again. I'm like, look, that line wasn't there, and I didn't have that vein, and I don't think I've ever had that vein, and where'd those come from? And it's fun, and it's like, it's brought the passion back to me because I have the right, I have the right good people with me. So
Awesome. On April 23rd in Victoria, British Columbia, at the Vancouver Island Showdown, your hand gets raised in victory and you get the Miss Olympia qualification. What is going to go through your head and what does it mean to you?
I'm going to cry. I'm going to cry. It's what we all work for, right? It's the dream that we all want. And I think it's like, it's that moment where everything I've gone through, everything I've had to weight myself through, everything I've had to compartmentalize and stay strong for and push through in this past year, and then all of the things that I've gone through this prep to get where I am, and just knowing that in that moment, every sacrifice, every bit of sadness that I suffered, it's all worth it. And it's like, it's finally this reward in this moment in time where I get to truly shine and show the world who I am. And, that's all I can say about it is and I'm going to cry and then I'm going to beg for pizza.
Yeah. Awesome. No, I really appreciate you doing this. I mean, the fans in Western Canada are going to see a treat, and the fans all over the world via pay-per-view seeing you on stage. Just to finish off, where can people follow you, your journey into the show? And do you want to shout out any of the sponsors that you have that are helping you get to the stage?
So I am Kitty's Bikinis is amazing. We've got Gorilla, we've got Straight Labs, who is awesome, and they take care of a lot of things. Brian's got, Gas and Better Bodies. And then my IG is Jess Belt _ IFBB Pro. And then Brian's is?
It's Bryan, BRYAN _ Troy, TROI. And, also want to thank the gym.
Yeah. This guy, we're here, grinding it out, and they give us a home and give us a family.
Yeah, there's two gyms that I train at that, you know, definitely are awesome places. It's Texas Iron Republic and then Lewiston Training Center. So.
And then I am Texas Iron Republic, Legacy Barbell, and then CC Spring. So I'm kind of all over the place, but it depends on the day for my clients. And I hope you guys, you know, I hope to bring something to the stage that you guys are, you know, proud to have on your stage. I know no matter what, you know, I'm proud and excited to stand on your stage, and I'm truly grateful for you and your show to bring women's physique and shine more light on a division that has my heart, you know. So
awesome. I greatly appreciate that. I mean, we've set out for, you know, a mission for Western Canada to, you know, develop an all women's IFBB Pro show here on the West Coast of Canada. Started out, well, obviously with women's physique, women's bodybuilding. We wanted to pay homage to, you know, what we see as the main attraction on the women's side. Obviously that women's muscle sets the bar for every other class to come. So we will always be, you know, including those two classes in absolutely everything that we do. We were lucky to be able to add one additional class as women's wellness this year, but through and through, we are fans of the sport. We want to see women have as many opportunities as males within the sport and be able to continue to grow, you know, their personal brands and be able to develop careers, you know, through and through, and see, you know, women's muscle live on, see the sport continue to grow. And, you know, we appreciate you for making the trip, and I can't wait to see you in Victoria, British Columbia on April 23rd.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.